All right, guys. Whole life entrepreneurship, a holistic approach to success for entrepreneurs and their families. Full disclosure, I suck at marketing copy. We're going to do the best we can and get through it. Second disclosure, our disclaimer. We're going to be talking about relationships, and I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to speak with an authoritative voice. And I'm going to move my hands in a way that makes you believe that I might have something to offer you as far as wisdom is concerned. And you might actually think that I might have this whole thing figured out. This disclaimer is, we are not these guys. Seriously doubt I could fit in that, whatever that is. Is that a blazer? I don't know what it is. But we're not those guys. No, Carrie and I are these guys, right? We are a full contact family. We do the thing. We have wins, we have losses, and we've learned a lot of lessons. But generally, we have a whole lot of fun. This is Eva. I used to say she's my favorite child, but she's entered womanhood super early, and now I do not understand all the crying. And I do not, I mean, I still love her, but he likes video games. And yeah, she's still winning. She's still winning, but he's making a run for it. And I do think it's important to let them know that there is a score. And right? And I was like, but you can win this game. So
try harder.
Try harder. So let's talk about Carrie. Now, these slides are usually done when she is here. She is not. That's it. So expect some stuff. She's Carrie Anderson, CFO, Chief Family Officer is what we call her. She is a pediatric nurse. So that meant any physical problems with the kids, I was like, not me. You were a professional, you trained. Then she's also a marriage group facilitator even. She's been doing that for a couple years, meeting with folks who are doing marital problems, marital issues. She's not licensed, she's just a victim, and they keep coming to her. And so she decided, you people are tedious, let's get you in a group. I'm paraphrasing, that's not her sales.
I like how you refer to it as people who are doing marital problems.
Yeah, because you know, it's a thing.
You do.
You do them. She's an author and blogger, like even better than I am, which is not saying a whole lot because I have 4 published books. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars in marketing, and her damn book, In Bed with the Business, The Entrepreneurial Spouse's Survival Guide, outsold me in day 1. We'll talk a little bit about that later. She loves baby animals. When we were in Bangkok, and we had an opportunity to go see elephants, and I said, what if they're baby elephants? And it was the jet lag. It was completely jet lag. She began crying, thinking about the idea of a baby elephant sitting on her lap and giving her a hug with a itty-bitty trunk. I'm Adam Anderson, CEO. I call myself that because I bought the domain name. Did my whole career in cybersecurity, but my true love is entrepreneurship. I've been a serial entrepreneur for about 14, 15 years now. Author and public speaker. I love this stuff because you guys are all looking at me. And I think that's great. Fantastic. And I love either super luxury or super poverty. I want to be in the penthouse or in a tent. I really don't like the middle. I want to either dig a hole and poop in the woods, or I want like a fantastic, complex Japanese toilet, right? Probably didn't need to go with that metaphor. But thank you for going on that journey. But it hasn't always been that good. We had about 4 to 5 years of our marriage, of our relationship. And by the way, I'm going to be talking a lot about marriage, but this isn't a marriage talk, this is a relationship talk. I'm just speaking through my lens. This is applicable to however you roll, it's applicable to business partners, it's applicable to a lot of things, because we're going to be talking about some stuff. But yeah, for about 4 or 5 years there in the middle, right in the middle of me growing the company and winning no matter what, I was losing and sacrificing my relationship with my wife and my kids. Yes? Okay. Made me feel safe. But
Hashtag security.
So 4 or 5 years, So yeah, I was chasing success as I defined it, and she was chasing success as she defined it, and it wasn't working out so much. So here's Carrie's story. Didn't change the slides. It will seem like I'm speaking for her. Matter of fact, I will use a feminine voice. Nope, I'm not going to do that. We eventually adopted a foster teenager, and she was a lot of work on top of our other 2 kids, and so my wife decided to no longer be a pediatric nurse. She quit her job and was 100% focused on CFOing like a boss. And that was great. It was super fulfilling, but I'll call you back in 5 years. Children are a thing that take up time, and that's what she chose to focus on. I was not really in the picture because I was off selling. I was doing the thing. I'm winning business, and so she felt alone. And there was desperate disconnection between the 2 of us, and a whole lot of resentment was beginning to get built. We got to the point where we knew we theoretically loved each other. She knew she loved me, but she didn't like me, and she sure as hell didn't want to be around me when I got home. And I did things like sending her pictures of me drinking wine on a boat looking at the Eiffel Tower while she's covered in baby spit up. So when she saw what I was doing, and she saw that she was sacrificing and saw all the things, resentment began to build up because we definitely were not on the same page. Here's my story. Hi, I'm Adam, and I've been divorced. It took a woman to drive me to drink, and I've never sent her a thank you gift. Maybe like a fruit basket, a card at least, right? So what does that mean? That means I've got a 6-year marriage under my belt before I even got involved with my wife. I say to people, she's my favorite wife I've ever had, and it's true. However, I brought all that head trash into my marriage. I brought all of the things. It turns out maybe I was the problem in my first marriage, or at least a significant contributor. And I brought all that into it, my next relationship, and I compounded all that with trying to scale a business. We were rocking and rolling, but I had in my head, I was the only one who can do it. I'm the super entrepreneur. I'm the one who does the sales. I'm the one who makes the decisions. I'm the one who makes the best hiring decisions. And someone else was going to do it. I guarantee it wasn't right, or it wasn't as good as I could do it. And so I was taking all that on. And that meant that I had a lot of stress, and I wanted to come home and talk to my wife about it, my partner. Can you guess that maybe she wasn't interested in hearing the, oh baby, when I was in Paris, it was so hard. Because we had all these things, and I feel alone. And I did, because I can't talk to my employees. I can't bitch down. That's a toxic culture. I don't have other people to bitch to. I mean, I can bitch to you guys now. But I wanted to go home and have a safe place, and that didn't exist for me. So I turned to some severe unhealthy habits. I did a lot of self-destructive behavior during those 4 years. Alcohol was my go-to source of comfort, and it just was it was a spiraling thing. And the reason why, as I was riding a little bit of a pity party here, I began to feel resentment. She was too. We didn't talk. It's good. That would have been horrible if we talked during the whole thing and came to, well, anyway, that's a punchline for a different slide. Here I am sacrificing everything. I want to be home. I want to hang out with my kids. I want those kind of relationships. I want to be healthy, but I'm sacrificing everything to build this company. And how dare my employees want more money without producing more stuff? And how dare my wife expect me to come home and work at the house? It's not fair. I just love the lies that we tell ourselves to kind of get through the day sometimes. Amen. So this is how I felt, and she felt the same way too. We both felt like we were drowning. We were completely alone. We were surrounded by people, but completely alone. We are doing things that we thought would make us feel fulfilled, and being successful in them wasn't happening. So we shared a couple things. Physical being alone. I was on the road. I was gone. She was army of wanting it with 2 children who, while delightfully and wonderful, they poop and stuff. It's not the best, most glamorous thing. It's like a real job. Emotionally unsupported. We were completely disconnected. I wasn't valuing her, and she sure as hell wasn't valuing me. And for a long time there, we didn't even like each other. And we were just lucky that when I was ready to check out, she decided to fight for the relationship. And when she was ready to check out, I just happened to want to fight for the relationship. I feel very, very lucky that we never sunk up. Because if you want a business case for a healthy relationship, look at the numbers for your divorce and what it'll do to your company. Zing, it's not good. Unless you talk to John the lawyer, and he'll set you up ahead of time. I hope I get a referral fee for that. Also, self-loathing. That was a surprise to me. I did not know that I was feeling self-loathing. But a lot of my self-destructive behavior was coming because if she doesn't love me, if she doesn't like me, holy shit, what's wrong with me? I needed a lot of acceptance from her. And she was getting the same thing. If I'm not good enough for him, he doesn't like me, well, hell, I must not be good enough. By the way, that's super unhealthy. Punchline, 2 drowning people cannot save themselves. Picture this, 2 drowning people out in the ocean, and they're flailing around, and one person gets close to the other. The first thing a drowning person will do is grab you and push you underwater to get them to go up, right? That's just reflex. That's why when you're doing whitewater rafting in the Appalachian, they're like, all right now, everybody, when you see your friend go over in the water, you do not jump in after him. You throw something to him, maybe a rope, maybe a life preserver. The last thing you do is get in the water with them. That's the best one I got. So. And the same thing's true. When my wife and I got close to each other, I'm expecting her to help me, and she's expecting me to help her, and all we do is smack the shit out of each other because we're desperate flailing around drowning people, right? So, how do you handle this? Well, it really helps to be married to Carrie because she decided to forget about me, and she said, look, I love him for who he is, I accept him for who he is, I'm going to work on me. And she went through about a year of getting really good with her. Really good with her. And I kind of got jealous because she was super healthy and happy, and no matter what I did, she's like, I love you. I'm going to do this thing. I can't wait for you to join me. So she set a beacon that I got to follow. I was lucky enough to be married to the bravest, most awesome woman on the slide deck and in the world. Those are both accurate statements from my perspective. So she said this, my perceptions are the problems, I am the problems, he has no control over how I feel, so therefore I'm the problem, therefore the good news is I'm also the solution. So when she decided that, she set herself free, and turned out, she stopped drowning, she looked over, she swam, she got out of the river, right? So here's the trap. This is going to be interaction. There is an obvious right answer, and a lot of you guys are sarcastic asshats. And I'm going to love you no matter what you shout out in a minute. But there is an obvious answer, and I'm really trying to coach you on it, okay? Does this mean you can wait for your spouse or your partner to fix their own damn self, and then the relationship gets better because it's sure as hell not your fault? This is a yes or no. 1, 2, 3.
Obviously.
Yes, we are. Yes, thank you. My asshats on the right. That is exactly right. You wait until that lady fixes herself. She doesn't deserve you working on you. Okay, so if we agree on that point, then I have another question. If that's true, then you have to be also aware that maybe if you're your own problem and your own solution, that the best way to improve any relationship that you show up in is to be super self-aware and work on your own self. We could do a yes or no on this one. Sure, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was way reluctant, man. Woo! No one wants to be the problem. I'll tell you what, that sucks.
Coached us hard on the last, but I felt like I was like, what?
Wait, he didn't really give me solid direction. Was this a trap?
He said the trap.
Is it a trap? Oh, shit. So here's the second disclaimer. Sure. Carrie wrote this fantastic book based off of what a difficult life I've made her live. That's my perspective. That's not on the back of the book. There's a different description on the back of the book. And yeah, it had some success. But what it really showed us was that this was a real problem. That we were touching on something that most people were not touching on. And so we brought it to DCBKK, and you guys were polite enough to come and drink alcohol I bought you. And that was great. So, but that also showed us that, holy crap, there were so many amazing sessions going on. You guys could have gone anywhere, right? And people showed up and they actually had like some really cool conversations, and we're like, holy shit, these people are super smart. What should we do? How about this? Let's not be subject matter experts anymore. Let's do a community. Oh shit, did that slide get in there? I told Catalina to take that out. But hey, isn't Richard Branson lucky? I did literally forgot I put that in there. That's all right. So we decided to start a community, Whole Life Entrepreneurship, and we're going to talk through a study that we did, and I'm going to share you some of the results, and then we're going to have a little conversation. So we are currently in the process of interviewing 100 entrepreneurial families, and we are running them through a 30-minute kind of Zoom call, recording it, and we're gathering data. And I'm going to share you, is that right English? I'm going to share you. I'm still stuck in Appalachian.
You're from South Carolina.
Hi y'all, I'm going to share you what we learned with that there study. Seriously, as soon as this here clicker moves it to the next spot. Bottom came up. Look at me go. Okay. So the number one thing that most entrepreneur families experience was loneliness. Over and over and over again, we heard the word alone, isolation, over and over and over again. Most of these couples are super successful. And that very success was the barrier between them and asking for help and getting connection. You know, if you're the entrepreneur and you're crushing it, nobody has any pity for you. Because they look at the bank account, they look at what's going on in your life, you're jet set and you're living this dream, and they feel like they're so lucky. They don't have permission to have problems. They don't have permission to need a connection. And so you're alone. And the same thing's also true. My wife personally experienced me losing $2 million on like a Thursday. And who is she gonna bitch to? Her friends are, that just does not compute to them that kind of world exists. We got it back. It's okay, we got it back. Second one is stress. There's a lot of stress that comes onto this. Relationships in general are stressful, but you add entrepreneurship to it. You add chaotic lifestyle, chaotic travel, chaotic finances. I mean, just bookkeeping in general. What's personal expense? What's not? Da, 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 da. How do you communicate back and forth? It gets really, really complicated. It's, you know, lots of stress. And then scared. There's a lot of fear involved. And actually fear is the right thing to put here. That stress leads to a fight or flight. And a lot of folks are in a fear state. And then when you're in a fear state, you cannot make creative decisions, right? Your genius brain has access to the whole world's knowledge and the whole wisdom of the universe unless you're afraid. And then you're gonna have to punch somebody or run away. And it's very, very, very hard to come up with creative solutions when you're in a fear state. In general, entrepreneurship can be a pain in the ass. See what I did there? I could have used any letters, but my wife usually reads this slide, and it gives me special privilege and pride to make her say ass in front of adults. But it's true though, alone, stressed, and scared. And what does it look like when that goes on for too long? This might be a little hard to read in the back, so I'll read it out loud. When your relationship doesn't connect anymore, when you're drifting apart because of aloneness, stress prevents you from wanting to approach that person, and a fear means you don't connect with anybody else. You stop coming to each other for advice. You stop sharing your life. You stop having sex. You are purposely critical and lash out. Loneliness and depression, self-doubt, you grow distance, and in some cases, infidelity. We did this workshop for about 12 CEOs, and by the time I finished this slide, one of the guys was in tears. And he's like, that's been the last 3 months of my life. And I'm like, ooh, I did not count on that kind of emotional response. I have fart jokes in the next slide. So, you know, we get better as we do, right? But yeah, this resonates. And wherever you are on the spectrum with whatever relationship that you're in, you know, there are signs that you're growing distance and you're not connecting. And if you pay attention to those, you can get ahead of them. And how do you do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. The number one reason that most relationships suffer and fail is because everybody has unspoken expectations that the other person doesn't know, right? There's a joke that say when a man marries a wife, he thinks she'll never change, and when a woman marries a man, she can't wait that he does change, and they're both super disappointed, right? And unspoken expectations. When we're parenting our kids, Carrie has an expectation that I'm going to help her. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to help you. But if I don't know how she wants the help, then I come in with a hell of a lot of enthusiasm and make everyone cry. Turns out she doesn't need protection from her kids. They're little. She's like an adult. She's going to be fine. And I can overreact sometimes. So getting on the same page isn't just about parenting, it's also about what do we want to do with our money. I plan on saving 1 billion lives by having 1,000 $1 million companies, and I'm going to say, oh, change the world. And she's like, can we pay off the house, man? Can we? We are not on the same page financially. We're getting there because, you know, I'm changing my perspective that there's stages and I don't have to shoot for 1 billion right away. Maybe 3 million's okay. We'll do that first. But unspoken expectations. Now, this doesn't mean you should go back and like immediately sit down with your partner and go like, I have so much I have been holding back. And I cannot wait for this next hour and a half. I made a slide deck just like that. Here's all the things I'm angry about, and you are probably going to be passively aggressive attacked throughout the whole thing. Okay? No, there are ways of repairing that. Okay? There are ways of connecting again.
You would speak to them when they do that.
What? Oh, yeah. No, it's a new YouTube channel. It's going to be great. We're going to send you a GoPro. Yeah, it's like, yeah. We're going to do that.
Adam said I should tell you.
So, Adam, we're going to conference you in. That's expensive. I'll say yes, but I'm recording it and I'm charging. Okay. So, let's say that this is where Kara and I were. We're very vastly apart on a whole lot of things. And when she went first and then began to do her self-growth and then I followed, we found as we looked through how we came back together again, there were 3 major themes. Chill, communication, and community. Chill is how do you recharge personally, and then how do you bring that into the relationship so both of you recharge together. Communication, I don't know if that's communication. That's pretty self-explanatory. But people often think they're good communicators. The way she brought this into our relationship is she made it like a business meeting. Every Sunday, we do a 15-minute family business meeting where we go through, look at the Google calendars, we compare what's the schedule's like, because a lot of our stress was I was overscheduled, she was overscheduled, and who's picking up the damn kid, what's doing. By looking at calendars for 5 minutes and making quick decisions about what needs to happen, we removed 80% of our issues right there. After family, we talk about money. After money, we talk about what's going on with the family, her family, which is a shit show of awesome. Woo! Love, yeah. Love you, baby.
Sorry, we can just cut that out together.
Oh, that's right. Okay, let me tell you what I really did. So, communication done on a recurring way, over a period of time, in a way that is non-emotional, it lets pressure off. It brings an opportunity to talk about things that you never have an opportunity. Well, I was going to tell you that I lost 2 million, but when's the right time to tell you that, right? Same difference. Having a recurring meeting every week is just like what we do in business. Let's have a weekly stand-up. We'll do one for your relationship. And then community, that's this whole concept that consciousness is contagious and who you surround yourself matters. And if you surround yourself with angry people who hate their spouses or hate their partners, and all they do is bitch all the time, I guarantee you're going to see a lot of things wrong in your relationship. It doesn't mean, like, never hang out with those people. It just means you might have to drink a lot to be near them. And this is what we're trying to do, by the way, with this whole life entrepreneurship thing, is we're looking at, hey, how do we build a community that supports people trying to do life while they're also entrepreneuring? So let's do the light bulb question. These are great slides. I don't want you to miss this one. That's a dude sitting on a couch changing a light bulb. Let's pretend you had to do the same thing and you didn't have a couch. Would you stand on a pogo stick? Now some of you have amazing abs and you can do it. I can picture it like, oh, cross it up, now change it in perfect balance because I also yoga like a boss, right? Most people won't, and even if you could, it's dumb, right? There's something else you can do. Hey, that's better, right? Now you got 2 wheels on the ground. And I've seen some wicked cool BMXers, like from back in the 80s, and they're like hopping around and they're jumping over buildings, but that's still, you're hopping and you're trying to change a light bulb. It's better, but not too much better. 3-legged stool analogy. Has anyone seen a business slideshow with a 3-legged stool? Or is this brand new to you guys? No, you really have? Okay. Yeah, so it works. That's why we say it. So to me, your relationship needs a platform to build off of. And each one of these or one of the 3 C's. And chances are you are really, really good in at least one of them. One of them you're great at is you're fantastic at chilling and have a great time. And when you guys are doing it, it's great, but then maybe you're not so good at communication and talking about hard things that are uncomfortable, and then things build up, and then you have really good times followed by huge explosions and a lot of problems. And then rather than talking about them, you turn to your really crappy community of friends and talk with them, right? Maybe that's just my journey. So the whole idea here is, how do you go about strengthening all 3 of those? And it's a continuous process, right? You're never going to be perfect at it. And good news is you don't have to be, because what makes life super interesting is that it's super messy. And none of us will have good stories if we didn't have some good pain involved, right? So it's my opinion too. So here's what we're going to do. I want to hear about your pain, man, right? I want to hear from you guys. I want to open this thing up with our remaining time. And with this as the backdrop, I want to kind of understand what you are currently doing to handle the complexity of travel, of relationships, of business. I mean, the thing I want to do the most is talk about new business ideas. You want to put my wife's like red alert hat on and be like, hey baby, I just got back from DC Austin, so many ideas. And she's like, your controller won't let you spend money. I'm like, all right. So, why don't we start it off? Does anyone feel brave enough to go after lunch to just say, here's a thing I do to enrich my relationship? Just one thing. Yes, ma'am.
Earlier this year, I was being super cranky, and not just with my team, but also, I think just in general, which is just an energy thing. Everybody wants to figure out a cranky person. So, I think Terry and I realized that, and we're like, we haven't actually traveled a ton. We're actually working all the time. We actually haven't taken a vacation. So, booked a trip to Bonneville and scooped back and totally felt energized, refreshed, which in turn gave me less grumpy for our relationship, but also for the team, for me as a, running the business and stuff.
I love that.
Chilling out time,
Wonderful. So I'm going to parrot back what I think I heard you say. The intentional changing of your environment, of where you're at, to have a place where you can be dedicated to chill together and to just get charged back up again. Did that modify a perception for the long term, or is that a short-term gain and you're going to have to go and do it again?
I think just remind us to take some time off, especially because we work together.
Mm-hmm.
And reminded us, I think one of the things we've learned most this year is we focus so much on the profit first.
Amen.
Instead of focusing on profit first, just about happy first. So yeah, we're focusing and investing on time. How are we growing the business? But it's like, how are we enriching our own lives as individuals? How are we making ourselves happy? Try to kind of create that balance for ourselves.
That's awesome. So, do you mind if I name drop? Okay. So I was on Necker Island 3 weeks ago. One of the guys who was lecturing was Prime Minister Tshering Togboy of Bhutan. And this cat is fantastic. And he's trying to push a concept of gross national happiness. You have gross domestic product, which is how's the economy doing, not any value statement whatsoever. Any industry, any whatever, contributes to gross national product. And for us, we can say profit, right? And then gross national happiness measures about 6 or 7 other things in the country, such as access to healthcare, education, and it goes on and on and on. And it's like, he's not saying gross domestic product isn't important, because if you don't have the money, you have an issue, right? It's the fuel for the thing. But if you also only measure that, and you don't measure the vacations, you don't measure the quality of time plugging in, and maybe that's the thing that needs to be created, is what are the 6 or 7 KPIs for gross national happiness for your business and your life? Because profit, people, planet, I'm going to use a lot of other people's terms. I read a lot of books and podcasts. I think it's fantastic, because that's the best thing, right? You were grinding, you were not being fulfilled, and when you took your eye off that profit prize and the systems that made it go and realized that there's a bigger picture, I love that. Is anybody else? Yes, sir.
I have something to contribute, but before I do, I have to say that Bhutan, I guess, consistently ranks amongst like one of the happiest countries on earth. also they paint penises on everything.
They do.
Like walls, buildings, they have penis graffiti, they have flying phalluses.
It's
they
a
have
lot like
lucky
Pompeii.
penises
It's like
everywhere.
It's like Pompeii. It's great.
Anyway, so
Quick point follow up to that.
yeah.
I got myself designated as the special cybersecurity advisor to the Prime Minister of Bhutan.
Wow, that's
and
fantastic.
they have no computers.
Right.
They are doing so. They have it right, man. They have it right. So yes, you were gonna your
I
thing.
feel like there's like a cock blocking joke there, but
Let's workshop it.
yeah, all right.
7:30. We're gonna workshop that comment down at the bar. Everyone's invited. You're all cool. The other ones aren't. Don't let the other people come. I'm sorry. You were saying.
So my slightly more legitimate contribution, and I guess I should also caveat by saying my wife and I live in like 200 square foot of space because we travel in an RV full time.
Mm-hmm.
And we joke that it's like having a marriage in a hallway because it's basically like having a marriage in a hallway. But something that I think we both have figured out that contributes a lot to our own personal and interpersonal communication is we have kind of made a commitment that even when we are upset with each other or we're pissed and one or the other did something that makes us mad,
Mm-hmm.
we never complain to somebody else. We never go to our close friends and bitch about our relationship with our partner because we are best friends first and we owe it to each other to express that and share those. And it goes a long way. It's made a huge difference in our relationship to know that if I'm mad at her, I'm not going to go bitch to Kevin about her. I'm going to talk to her about it first, and then I might bitch to Kevin about it. But we will at least have had it out first, and she will know what my grievances are before anybody else does, and vice versa.
I love
will know
it.
what her grievances are first, and it helps a lot.
So I'm going to translate that into, you guys have set up certain communication rules that this is how we do, and this is how we communicate, and if we can abide by these things, we have a healthy relationship, right?
And I'll add to that, it's also, there's a big part that's trust there. Like, she
Sure.
trusts that I'm going to tell her if I have something wrong, and I trust that she's going to tell me if she has something wrong.
So speaking of trust, there's an interesting difference in some relationships. Some relationships, there's resignation,
Sure.
where I just, all right, I'm done. I can't stop him. He's going to do whatever he wants anyway. So if he pretends to talk to me first, great. I'm not going to bitch anymore because I've given up. That's one. You're talking about trust, was I have such a connection, and he has such a significant track record of creating safe spaces and being a healthy human being, that when he says he's going to talk to me first, in my soul I know that's true. Those are two completely different relationships, right? But they can look the same on the outside. So I love that, right? That's super awesome. Especially you use the word trust, because I know you're not throwing that around. I know you're talking from the second one, not the first one.
Indeed.
It would be really good if anyone could talk about community, because we did chill and we did communication, and it's like you guys are like reading my deck. That's all right. So anybody have an example of when they were surrounded by the right human beings that really enriched them, or they were surrounded by the wrong human beings that took them down the wrong way? No comments about DCBKK. You were raising your hand a little bit. You do not have to follow my advice.
Not about community,
That's
yeah.
fine, that's
So
fine.
I was gonna comment on using kind of your business knowledge in your relationship for communication, like having the Sunday meeting. And I think you mentioned Google Calendar.
Mhm.
Like that's something that I did when I was in a relationship. It helped a lot because all those plans and like
Right there, right?
yeah. So I mean that's something that not many people actually do, but we do it kind of intuitively because we do it in business, and we're so good at communicating maybe with our team or
Yeah.
whatever. But to bring that into the relationship can help a lot.
I love that, right? So I'm going to repeat back again because I love the sound of my voice. Trust me. I think it's fascinating. Think about all the business systems we've created. HR, onboarding, we've got systems. Sales, we got funnels. We have a complete system for almost everything in our company because our goal is to grow massive and do the thing, right? And then we think we can just drift into the most important relationships of our lives and half-ass it and not approach it with the same level of commitment. Dude, our superpowers as entrepreneurs is to see things that other people don't, and then put pieces together and then do the thing. Be a little different and do the business behaviors in your family. You don't have to make it like horrible. You know what my wife loves? PowerPoint. You know what she loves less? spreadsheets, and I've got to communicate what's going on in all the companies. We've got 7 companies in flight right now, all with different funding, all the things, right? And she knows that it's her responsibility in the marriage to at least have an idea of the things that I'm doing, right? So when we started off, it was a long journey. Those 15-minute meetings were 2-hour meetings, and they usually ended with a wonderful fight, like great fight. Like do you want to get quiet so the kids don't know, or should we let them experience what forgiveness looks like down the road? Let's do that. Let's be transparent. Let's be good. Let's let them see Daddy apologize. And that came from a deep person. That just came out. That's love, baby. So I actually made spreadsheets, put them into PowerPoints. And there were very few numbers, and every other slide was like a kitten. Remember the baby animals? And then there was a puppy. And then there was I gotta bring her back in. Come on, bring it back in. And the same thing's true with me, because I would sit down after a long day of, in some cases, day drinking. Not anymore. It's fantastic. But doing whatever the hell entrepreneurs do, right? And whatever that is that we do can get draining. And I would come home, and I didn't want to hear about her day. And I didn't want to hear about all the things. And she learned how to talk to me in a way that responded to me. So communication works when I know how to speak to you in the way you want to be heard, not vice versa. And hell, we do this for sales. When you're prospecting to a customer and you got them on the phone, you don't get your emotional needs met on the phone saying things the way you want to say them. You listen to that person on the other end and you learn how they want to hear your message, and you pivot in flight and you communicate in a healthy way because you're closing the deal. We're really good at marriage and relationships. We just don't know it. Yes, sir.
There's a book, The 5 Love Languages.
Yes.
It's really helpful if you're not familiar with this. That the
Absolutely.
concept is that everyone speaks love in their own language, and for some people, love is gifts. For some people, it's acts of service. For some people, it's quality time. And there's basically these 5 languages. So I don't care about gifts.
Nope.
My wife doesn't really care about gifts. We both are quality time people, so I know that when
What would that be like? On the same page?
I know that when she needs to feel loved, it has to be quality time.
So they're on a scale from 1 to 12.
Yep.
My wife's gift giving was like an 11. And a gift is not, here's an expensive boat. It's you took the time out of the day to think of me and got me something thoughtful. And it shows me that I'm important to you because you stopped what you were doing, remembered me, and bought me something thoughtful that you thought I would like. So it's not the gift, it's the behavior of taking the time to do it. My gift giving is a 0. Literally score a 0 every time. Sometimes I'm like, I know I should say this, and so sometimes I score a 1. It's always a 0. I get annoyed at gifts. I'm like, how dare you? Now I have to do shit with this thing. If I wanted it, I'd buy the one I want. So she's like, I got you a kegerator. I'm like, it's the wrong one. So I can't pick, the kind of beer I want to put in there is much too tall. It's not going to fuck it. No. Thank you for this $350 burden. Right? And I am a 12 on physical contact, physical touch. And she is like a 2. So she's like, I got you this kegerator. I'm like, and man, that's a cool relationship if you're on the same page.
So when I get gifts for my wife, because neither of us care very much about gifts, I try to make it some kind of an experience.
There you go.
Or something that will facilitate an experience. She really wanted to come to Austin on this trip, but she couldn't come. So a lot of this, you've been talking about communication, and I actually think that when you're traveling as an entrepreneur, it's really easy not to communicate with your significant other and ignore the phone because you're wrapped up in other stuff. But I think it's more important to communicate when you're gone than when you're together. So
do you have a solution? Does anybody have a thing they do to communicate well? Yes.
Well, just like as a KPI for the day in a relationship when I'm gone, one thing I do is make sure I call and say goodnight to the kids.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Yeah, if I don't
Is it like on your calendar? Is it an alarm?
It's 8 o'clock. Okay, I got a call.
Yeah.
If I don't do it, it's not surprising the kids are up to something the next day. And
Yeah.
it's like the kids need to have communication and relationship with me as well, not just her. all kind of
Yeah,
tie together.
I love that. How many people have parented from a bar over FaceTime? Anyone? My boys. Yeah. I love that. It's like, did you make your mom mad? Just trying to close business, killing my buzz, and it's like pre-verbal, like. So I love that. You set up a daily KPI to check in, and you probably have to. I love the fact that you're talking about. You got to be aware of the fact when you don't check in, there's a consequence, and it's not necessarily like a shameful consequence, but they can't get to be connected to you unless you do the effort to initiate the conversations and the communication, right? So I love that you've got a daily KPI.
And it might only take like 2 minutes.
Sure.
Or whatever, but it's one of those things that eliminates 80% of the problems.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but when I call in now, my son's like staring at the Xbox, and I just see the side of his face. I'm like, boy, Daddy's doing the effort. Value it. It's an asshole. I mean, I'm joking. You're not an asshole. Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a practical question? Do you still travel as much as you used to?
I'm beginning to do it again. I was off the road for a while, and I got to play daddy daycare because Carrie's CEOing like a boss right now for this thing, and it's been fantastic to watch her entrepreneur, right? And so I've been able to go to all the soccer games. I'm coaching. I'm doing like the drama school, and I'm there, right? And I wake up and it's horrible. I am so glad I'm there. I really am. But I'm programmed to move through the world, and working out of a home office day in and day out, and the only time I ever get out is to the CrossFit gym, and if you look at this, maybe I don't get out as much as I should. No, I'm joking, I love me. So yeah, it is practical. So I am beginning to travel again more.
One of the things my wife and I found, and it might be different for different people, but the most important community is the one you're over there. And I went through a period of a lot of travel, and it was a lot harder than we thought it was going to be. We find there's a nice inflection point, about 2 weeks, and then back for about 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and then travel for another 2 weeks.
So you're doing.
If it's more than that, the reality is you're just not there, no matter what you do.
I love it. So to restate it, most important community you can find, thank you for bringing community into it, by the way, check my last box, is the family, right? And it's not even the extended family, although it could be, but it's really the core family. And your experience has been 2 weeks on the road is probably the maximum, and then you need to be home for about 4 weeks. And I'd like to call that work-life rebalance, because there is no such thing as work-life balance. There is do the job you have to do because this is the life we've chosen. And there are some times where you are going to have to do that, right? But you can always decide if you're going to get on the road again. You don't have to be the victim of the company. You can be very intentional to set up your world that if you do that 2-week thing, that you're going to do the others, right? And that's why creating systems in your company and making sure that you can control how your company operates is just as important as how are you setting up the family too. So I love that you guys came up with that together. Question in the back? Yes. If I'm to the point when I hear baby, I just want to pick it up and I go like this. And that is creepy if you do. Ladies get away with it. I know it's a double standard, but I'm like, can I hold your baby? No, it's all right. It's whiskey breath. It's not beer breath. I'm classy. All right, guys. Well, this is really all I've got. I really appreciate it. I would like to interview anyone who's interested in being interviewed. Schedule a time. Can I get a show of hands if I should wait? I will come find you later if you raise your hand and give you like a calendar link. So if you are willing to talk to my wife and I on a Zoom call sometime in the next couple weeks, raise your hand. If you're nervous, just do like one of these. All right, we'll find you guys. I appreciate it. And if I don't find you, feel free to come and just give me a uncomfortable 20-second hug, right? Especially if I'm in the middle of talking to somebody. Challenge me not to break my conversation. Just be like, you smell different when you're awake, Adam. Yes, I do. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it.